of Imperial Beach that actually is on the US-Mexico border. So great to be here. And thanks for everybody calling in from all of our borders, whether they're tribal members, our members from outlying counties, and of course, our members from or participants from other countries as well, like Mexico. So anyway, I wanted to note just that simultaneous interpretation is available. And I would like to ask our interpreter to briefly explain how this feature works.
Thank you very much, Chair Dedina. As the chair indicated, we have interpretation available. I will begin with the instructions in Spanish, and I'll be back with the instructions in English. Muy buenas tardes y bienvenidos a esta sesión del Comité Fronterizo de la Asociación de Gobiernos de San Diego. Se está ofreciendo servicio de interpretación simultánea. Para hacer uso del mismo, por favor, desplácese a la barra de controles de Zoom, por lo general en la parte inferior de la pantalla. Haga clic en el icono de interpretación, parece un globo terráqueo, y luego seleccione Spanish y Español. Si está utilizando la aplicación móvil de Zoom, en celular, tableta, etc., presione primero los puntos suspensivos, luego interpretación y luego el idioma. Por último, si no desea escuchar el inglés original en el fondo, por favor seleccione Mute Original Audio o silenciar audio original. Once again, we do have interpretation available. As there may be presentations and/or comments in Spanish, we invite all English speakers to take advantage of the feature by scrolling to your Zoom control bar, usually at the bottom of your screen. Find the interpretation icon. It looks like a little world, and then select English as your language. If you are joining through the Zoom mobile app on a cell phone, tablet, or other mobile device, first press the ellipsis, the three dots, then interpretation, and then choose your language. Finally, to not hear the original Spanish low in the background, please click on Mute Original Audio. Gracias, and thank you. Back to you, Chair Dedina.
Great, thank you so much, and thanks everybody. And Avelia, I just wanted to confirm that we have a quorum, reconfirm that, just want to make sure we're all good on that.
Yes, Chair Dedina, we have a quorum.
Awesome, thank you so much. And so I just wanted to review the process and guidelines for participating in today's meeting. For Borders Committee members, please note that you are not automatically muted by the meeting organizer, so you will have to mute and unmute yourself. In addition, when you would like to speak, please turn on your camera or raise your hand by opening your participants panel on the Zoom toolbar. And I know our staff will help me make sure we manage that process. It's a lot harder, I think, to do this and definitely via Zoom than this in person. And clicking a raise hand at the bottom. Once I see you, we'll recognize you at that time. For members of the public who would like to speak on an item, please use the raise hand icon in the Zoom toolbar. When you're called, you'll be unmuted by SANDAG staff. If you're calling in by phone, you may need to enter *6 to unmute yourself. After the comments, you'll be muted by SANDAG staff. If you're calling into the meeting, please press *9 on your phone. If you'd like to comment on an item, all comments, whether emailed or live, will be made part of today's meeting records. Are there any questions on that process? Great, I know we're all used to this now. And now I'd like to move on to the first item on the agenda, and that's public comments and member comments. And just, I'll get started. For the past 20 months, we've experienced difficult conditions, a public health emergency, economic crisis, and all kinds of issues along the border and in general. But we finally have some good news to share. And I know that I was part of that when we opened the border. And we definitely, more recently, along with some of my colleagues here in San Diego and Tijuana, we have some good news to share. The restrictions imposed at our land ports of entry have been lifted for all vaccinated cross-border travelers. And really clearly, the remarkable, extraordinary diplomatic efforts to promote vaccinations on both sides of the border and public health efforts coordinated between our two countries, our two states, our multiple cities and regions has been welcomed. And I just want to acknowledge and congratulate our colleagues in Baja California for the extraordinarily high vaccination rates in Mexico. That's allowed us to get back open. And obviously many thousands who call our binational region home had to cross the border for essential reasons, and they contribute to our culture and economy every day. About 140,000 people were crossing the Baja California border each day over the last few months, despite travel restrictions. So the borders remained open for a lot of people, but obviously not enough. We are truly a binational metropolis divided by geographic and political boundaries, but we share so much: historic roots, family and cultural ties, economy and major industries, and the environment, just to mention a few, but also the waves behind me. We share lots of things in nature as well. So, and obviously beautiful coastline, beautiful beaches, ocean resources, and obviously people who enjoy all of those things every day. On November 8th, I had the privilege, along with some of you, to participate in an event where we celebrated the lifting of restrictions, opening our international land border crossings for vaccinated travelers. And I wanted to recognize our partners at Customs and Border Protection. Their work is complex and crucial for this border region. I know it was really an emotional morning when we did that. I know all of us in San Diego were so grateful to see our colleagues from Mexico and all our friends from Mexico be able to cross the border a lot easier. And I know that's very important for all of us to do this type of work and understand that we are one region and have to work on that, and do that work every day in person, not just on Zoom. And also, what's great about the other great news we heard is that the San Diego-Tijuana region is to be designated the 2024 World Design Capital. So huge effort on the part of our local partners and the team that put that together. So congratulations. And we heard from a team as they were putting that proposal in, they really do know our region's strength. And that's when we work together and collaborate effectively, we do deserve the highest levels of recognition. I'm sure there's plenty of hard work to come in the following months, but I look forward to how we can all forge a better future for all. Other issues include the reestablishing the North America Leaders Summit in Washington, D.C., which is absolutely essential to see our presidents of Canada and Prime Minister and of Mexico, and President of Mexico, and our own president meet. Today is our last meeting of 2021. We have a full agenda. I ask everyone to be mindful of our time limitations. And before that, I want to see if we have any comments from the public or members of the committee. And please turn on your camera, let us know at this time, and I will ask the clerk to also check for hands. Thank you, Amelia. I don't see any raised hands.
Yeah, there was no hands, Chair Dedina.
Great, and that will go on to item number 2, Executive Director's Report. And I'd like to invite Ray Trainer, our Chief Planning and Innovation Officer, to provide the Executive Director's Report. Ray, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Chair Dedina. Appreciate the time to meet with you and all the members of the Border Committee. You know, we've had some great news this week when President Biden signed the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act back in Washington, D.C. on Monday. And I think, like we've talked about from the very beginning, it's SANDAG's job to define the vision, and then we figure out collectively as a group of partners how to pay for it. So our vision is really encapsulated in the 2021 regional plan, which I think all of you are aware is really a transformative investment in our future that's going to be reducing congestion, addressing several of the social equity issues that we've long identified and not done anything about, and helps us meet some of these really aggressive climate targets that have been set both by the state and the federal government. So we're really excited about the infrastructure bill because we think it really, San Diego is perfectly positioned to be able to benefit from this transformative investment from the federal government. So we're hoping that we can work with all of you as we start to step forward now aggressively to address a number of the issues, particularly at the border region. And we think that this infusion of money is going to really give us a fresh look at all of our current funding strategies that are in the regional plan and hopefully addressing a lot of the questions that have been raised. We've been a part of helping to raise a number of public policy conversations that we think are long overdue. And we're really committed to bringing forward these difficult conversations all across the region. And so we think that this new bill now brings a whole new variable for us as we're starting to consider our future. And so one thing just to be mindful, I think all of you are aware with projects like the Otay Mesa East Port of Entry, which you're going to hear about later today. These types of projects are not funded through one single source of funding, but these federal dollars have been leveraged successfully. And we believe now we're positioned better than ever to be able to leverage these and find ways to solve a number of these vexing problems that we've all been facing for far too long. Speaking of a vexing problem, I think many of you are aware that we've been suffering from a digital divide. Many members of our region have not had access to broadband internet services, and this was really highlighted during the pandemic when many of our fellow neighbors, colleagues, members of the community were really isolated. And so we're really thrilled with some news this week that I want to share with you. The state of California recently had passed some legislation that committed more than $6 billion of funding specifically to bridge the digital divide. And so we're actually thrilled now that the California Department of Technology announced just the other day some bold investments in broadband infrastructure. And because of the work that Sandag, along with members of the Border Committee, members of other policy advisory committees, have conducted in order to develop our digital equity action plan, which is going to come to the board of directors in December for final adoption. But it's because of this groundbreaking work that we've done in the region that we were positioned to receive a larger investment in these state broadband funds than any other region in the state. So we're super excited about that. We think it really starts to speak to the work that we've been doing as we've developed the vision that again is captured in the draft 2021 regional plan that addresses a number of these gaps in digital infrastructure. And the corridors that were identified for funding from the state are going to serve a number of our rural communities and tribal nations who currently go without broadband services throughout most of the eastern part of our region. So this is going to really help us improve access, bring high-speed internet into these currently underserved communities. And we think it's going to be a part of a first step that's going to bring broadband services to every corner of the region. One thing I didn't mention is that the new federal legislation that the president signed has $65 billion with a B dedicated toward these broadband services. And so we think that because of the work that we've done, the state funding that's now going to be coming here really positions us to be able to leverage and receive even more federal dollars to do more to close the digital divide. One of the things that we spent some time earlier this week was with our colleagues up in Sacramento. So Hassan, along with my colleague Ray Major, your Chief Data Analytics Officer, and Colleen Clemenson, your Planning Director, spent time with Caltrans Executive Board. And you know that Caltrans is a long-term partner with our region. And so we spent some time with them along with the Strategic Growth Council. And we really focused on talking about the future of transportation planning. And I think our work that's been really using some groundbreaking tools and processes has been highlighted in the work that we've done with the 2021 plan. And the group that we met with has all recognized that. So we look forward to continue to partner with leaders up and down the state as we start to implement all these innovative solutions that are contained in the regional plan. And then the last thing, something that I think many of you on the Borders Committee are very excited about, I know I am, and I'm going to be there this Sunday, and that's the celebration for the opening of the Mid-Coast Trolley extension. That celebration is going to take place, as I mentioned, from Sunday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's up at UC San Diego. And when this new service opens very early on Sunday morning, it's going to change the future for many of us, the way that we get to school, the way that we get to work, medical appointments, and more. And it's going to provide a very meaningful connection and allowing a one-seat ride from the U.S.-Mexico border all the way to the University City community. In fact, that many people don't have an appreciation for at times is mega projects like this are notorious for not being on time and budget. And I'm very proud of my colleagues, particularly Jim Linthicum and the team, who are delivering the Mid-Coast project, $2.2 billion, so it's a mega project, and they're delivering it on time and on budget. And for those of you that have been involved in infrastructure development, you know how exceptional that is. And so it's something that I think all of us in the region can take a great deal of pride in, and even greater pride when that service starts to launch on Sunday, the 21st. And so we're hoping to see all of you there at the grand opening. Make sure that you ride the trolley to that event. Service is going to start very early on Sunday morning. Free rides all the way up and down back to this great event. And so we'll be looking forward to seeing you then. So Chair Dedina, that concludes my report, and I'm available to respond to any questions you may have.
So much good news. It's actually a little overwhelming. So, and congratulations on a great project, but more importantly, on the digital divide, that's my theory. You're always ready for, you always anticipate the funding to be ready for it, and always already doing the work. So congratulations. Are there any questions for our members, comments, or the public? And I hope our staff are helping me keep track of that.
I don't see any hands raised.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Ray, and great work. And we have more good news to report on. All the money we'll be getting to spend on the border for the EPA project. So it's another round of extraordinary news and projects that'll put people to work, actually making things better for the environment and the economy. So the triple win is amazing. So thank you. And now we'll move on to item, we have to do item number 3, approval of board minutes. And are there any members entering a motion, a second, to approve the consent agenda?
This is Moreno. Happy to make a motion.
Thank you.
McNamara seconds.
Perfect. And can our clerk restate that so we can vote?
Noelia?
Yes. City of San Diego, Councilmember Vivian Moreno.
Moreno, yes.
County of San Diego is absent. East County, Councilmember Laura Cobell is trying to connect. Imperial County is absent. North County Coastal, Councilmember Dave Drucker.
Drucker, yes.
North County Inland, Mayor Paul McNamara.
Yes.
South County Chair Serge Dedina.
Dedina, yes.
And the motion passes with those present.
Great. And do we have any comments from the public on this item?
I don't see any hands raised. Chair Dedina.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And now it's my pleasure to introduce item number 4, and that's the State of California Legislature Commission of Border and Immigration Affairs. And Diputado Roman Cota, the state of Baja California, will give an update. And then I just wanted to see if we have Consul General Carlos Gonzalez would like to introduce Diputado Roman Cota. I'm not sure if he's here.
Consul General Gonzalez is not attending.
Oh, okay,
And
great.
this,
Well, anyway,
this presentation is going to be in Spanish. Shared.
okay. And Diputado Cota is the head of the Commission of Border and Immigration Affairs and just took office in September. And so as Mr. Venegas said, he'll address the committee in Spanish. So please prepare to switch the proper channel on Zoom if needed. Diputado Cota, bienvenidos. Qué bueno que estés aquí y adelante. Is he ready?
I'm ready. Thank you very much. First of all, I will try to do my introduction in English.
Parece que tenemos problemas de audio, ¿no? No sé si, I'm not sure if we can fix that, guys.
Are you getting better now?
It's not so good, but I'll let our technical committee let me know.
Okay. Let me try to do something. Maybe if I can open my camera on my computer and just the audio on my cell phone, I think it will be better.
Okay, we'll wait then.
It's better now?
That's better now.
Okay, I will start video now.
Great, we can hear you a lot better.
Now you hear me, I hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you a lot better. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you again. Thank you, Christina, for this introduction. Thank you, Vivian. I'm very pleased of being with you here today because it's very important for us to make this alliance with the governments in the county of San Diego. And as a member of the legislature in the Parliament of Baja California, I'm the president of the Foreign Affairs Committee. And that's why I've been asking for this opportunity to be with you. Now I'm going in Spanish. Buenos días, buenas tardes de nueva cuenta a todos. Gracias por este espacio para poder platicar con ustedes acerca de un tema muy importante, que son las cosas que compartimos en común el sur de California y el estado de Baja California, una de las megaregiones más importantes de todo el país, de todo México, de todo Estados Unidos y de Norteamérica. Los grandes cambios del mundo moderno, de nuestro planeta, tal cual como lo conocemos hoy en día, han sido producto, sin duda alguna, de la migración, que tal como fue desde un principio y hoy hasta nuestros días, es una necesidad inherente al ser humano en su búsqueda de lograr una mejor calidad de vida. Con el avance de las sociedades, el fenómeno de la migración fue moldeando las civilizaciones modernas y nos ha venido agrupando por nuestro origen étnico, por nuestro idioma, por nuestros rasgos físicos, por nuestra religión y un sinfín de características que dieron paso primero a las grandes civilizaciones y también posteriormente a imperios y hasta monarquías, hasta desembocar en lo que hoy conocemos como las naciones-estado, que hoy son las que rigen nuestra sociedad, nuestro presente y nuestro futuro, en las que habitamos hoy en día. Y estas sociedades, se encargan de tutelar algunos principios básicos de la vida: la seguridad, las libertades, la libertad de profesión, de tránsito, la libertad de expresión, la educación, el acceso a la salud, entre otros. Aquí es donde comienza a tornarse un poco más complejo esta relación. La dominación política, la dominación religiosa, económica y cultural entre los países siempre se ha mantenido como una forma de lograr una supremacía sobre los demás estados. Y esto ha desembocado en conflictos de diversas escalas, que en muchas ocasiones han resultado en retrocesos y amargas lecciones para la humanidad. Y no estoy aquí con ustedes hoy para dar una clase de sociología o de historia, pero quise destinar este momento de la introducción de mi presentación para invitarlos a hacer una profunda reflexión sobre la trascendencia de encontrarnos el día de hoy reunidos, con motivo de poder platicar con ustedes, sumarnos al esfuerzo que hace SANDAG y atender desde el Congreso a fortalecer nuestra relación binacional en las materias principalmente de desarrollo económico, de medio ambiente principalmente, de temas migratorios y un sinfín de temas que nos unen, como la contaminación inclusive también. Hablar de migración es hablar de Baja California en su máxima expresión. Nadie puede negar que nuestro estado se ha convertido en un oasis para aquellos migrantes que vienen del sur del país o que vienen de Centroamérica, que vienen del Caribe. Más recientemente hemos visto casos inclusive de familias brasileñas que llegan a Baja California con la intención de cruzar a Estados Unidos, con la intención de cruzar al condado de San Diego, al condado de Calexico, para poder buscar una mejor calidad de vida. Y ellos parten con esta necesidad. Lo hacen simplemente ejerciendo un derecho humano al que ellos tienen derecho, que es a la movilidad. Esto para ellos y para nosotros, Baja California y California, para nuestra sociedad, representa un reto por muchas razones. La convergencia de tantas culturas que se han arraigado en nuestra región han pasado desde nuestros pueblos originarios hasta los últimos refugiados que ya mencionamos ahorita, que tienen un origen muy diverso. Esto da por resultado una fusión sin igual de ideologías, de idiomas, de tradiciones, de creencias, de gastronomía. Y esto es un choque para el que quizá no nos hemos preparado, ignorando dos factores muy importantes. El primero que vivimos en un mundo globalizado, en donde, para asombro de Julio Verne, una persona puede dar la vuelta al mundo ya no en 80 días, sino en 80 horas, en menos de 80 horas. Y segundo, que gozamos de una ubicación geopolítica en todo el orbe privilegiada, pues somos vecinos no solo de la primer potencia a nivel mundial, que es Estados Unidos, sino también del estado más importante de la Unión Americana, que es California, y de la ciudad más importante para nuestra región, que es San Diego. Ante todo lo expuesto, resulta imprescindible preguntarnos qué estamos haciendo para aprovechar todo esto. ¿Qué papel juega la sociedad civil organizada, la academia, la iniciativa privada, los gobiernos de los dos lados de la frontera dentro de este contexto? Sin duda hay y habrá muchas respuestas a estas preguntas que acabo de hacer, pero en lo que respecta a lo que hoy vengo a proponerles, tengan la certeza de que afrontaremos con determinación junto a el resto de los gobiernos en mi país una agenda de trabajo conjunta para atender estos retos, los más importantes en materia económica, social, educativa, gubernamental, cultural, migratoria, ambiental, política y no menos importante de salud, que como norma deben de atenderse todos los días por todos los actores que ya he mencionado, con ideas novedosas, con una visión globalizada, buscando siempre el bien común de nuestros pueblos de ambos lados del muro. Esto obliga al desarrollo de soluciones compartidas a problemas comunes de nuestra frontera, buscando establecer colaboraciones estratégicas con los diferentes niveles de gobierno de los dos países, así como de las organizaciones de la sociedad civil, con la finalidad de mejorar las condiciones de nuestro entorno. Tenemos que asumir una responsabilidad histórica que nos corresponde por ser habitantes de nuestra región. Asumir los retos que representa el fenómeno migratorio. Normalmente nos preocupamos mucho por el tema de nuestros paisanos mexicanos que cruzan a Estados Unidos y que buscan esta mejora en su calidad de vida. Pero hoy también tenemos que darnos cuenta no solamente de los que están intentando cruzar hacia Estados Unidos, sino también de los que están llegando a nuestro país y que se van a quedar aquí y que representa un reto también para ambos lados de la frontera por las condiciones que ya he mencionado. Por eso tenemos que exigirnos entrar de lleno a esta materia y atender esta relación binacional con acciones determinantes en materia de desarrollo de legislación y de políticas públicas acorde a estas circunstancias que llegaron para quedarse. Por otra parte, según Smart Border Coalition, nuestra frontera registra 112 millones de cruces anuales, 45 millones de autos y 2 millones de camiones de carga, con un valor de bienes de más de 51,000 millones de dólares. Tan solo la denominada región Cali-Baja abarca el sur de California y Baja California, ronda alrededor de los 30 millones de habitantes. Sin lugar a duda, coincidimos con un gran número de organismos empresariales y de comercio internacional en que somos una frontera que requiere ser mejor administrada y regulada para acercar la inversión y hacer efectiva una prosperidad compartida, estableciendo un estándar mundial para la innovación en las relaciones fronterizas. Esto compromete a quienes hoy estamos aquí en esta reunión para que nos demos a la tarea de llevar a buen puerto, reconstruir nuestras relaciones fronterizas en el contexto de los retos actuales, para así generar las condiciones que propician una mayor cooperación, vinculación, respeto a los derechos humanos y planeación a futuro para el desarrollo de la región, como ya lo han mencionado recientemente y creo que se abordará más adelante en esta reunión con el tema de la nueva garita de Otay 2, ¿no? Que es un ejemplo de que hay acciones tangibles en materia de esta cooperación. La vocación de Baja California y del estado de California son ser estados receptores de migrantes. Así se ha forjado la historia de nuestros padres y nuestros abuelos provenientes de otros estados de la República, de otros países del mundo, y que eso nos dota con las características de ser una de ser entidades, de ser estados que abren sus brazos a todos aquellos que vienen a trabajar y a luchar por una vida más digna. No les podemos fallar a esas personas que vienen aquí a aportar lo mejor de ellos. Por todo lo anterior, hoy de nueva cuenta estoy muy contento de estar aquí con ustedes para platicar de este tema que es de gran importancia para ambos lados de la frontera. Y es un honor el poder ser un integrante de esta mesa de trabajo de manera permanente, en la que sin duda creo que vamos a lograr muchas cosas los próximos 3 años en los que me toque participar en esta legislatura. Y que creo que todos quienes hoy estamos aquí hemos probado este interés de sumar al esfuerzo que se está realizando por parte de los gobiernos locales, por parte de los congresos estatales también, para mejorar las condiciones de vida de nuestras regiones, para establecer políticas de desarrollo en conjunto de ambos lados de la frontera. Y que hemos demostrado también que venimos a servir con pasión, con trabajo, con transparencia y con honradez por la hermandad de las mujeres y de los hombres, que esta hermandad trasciende la soberanía de las naciones, trasciende la justicia económica y no distingue de fronteras. Por el servicio a la humanidad y por el progreso de California y de Baja California, muchas gracias por su atención.
Gracias, Diputado Cota, and we're so glad that you can make those comprehensive comments and your commitments to working across the border and addressing all of these issues. So thank you very much. We're so glad that you could call in, and hopefully we'll see you in person soon. Are there any comments from the members of the public first, and then members from our Borders Committee members?
There are no hands raised. Chair Dedita.
Well, great. Hopefully, Diputado Cota, we can meet you soon and get together and talk about all of these issues. I know we look for, I met with Governor Marina de Pilar recently, and we look forward to continuing our strong partnership with the state of Baja California and Sandag. So thank you very much. And with that, we will move on to item number 5, and that is the San Ysidro Mobility Hub Planning, another great project. And I would like to invite Vice Chair Vivian Moreno to introduce this next item, who's been a great proponent of all of this work in terms of mobility in San Ysidro and throughout her district. So please take it away, Vice Chair Moreno.
Wonderful, thank you. Good afternoon. Oh, excuse me. Good afternoon. My name is Vivian Moreno. I'm the council member that represents the community of San Ysidro in the city of San Diego. I'm very excited to introduce item number 5, the San Ysidro Mobility Hub Planning. I want to start off by thanking MTS for directing $1.25 million to Sandag to initiate planning and conceptual engineering activities for the San Ysidro Transit Center. I also want to thank Sandag for taking the lead on this project. The San Ysidro Transit Center project is focused on short and intermediate term solutions for the transit center. It exists along Sandag's long-term solution of the new San Ysidro Mobility Hub, which will be one of the first 2 mobility hubs that will be completed under our new regional plan. There's a critical need for the intermodal transportation center in San Ysidro, as it would provide multiple transportation options for our binational community. The San Ysidro Port of Entry is the biggest international land border crossing in the world and functions as a significant international commuting and tourist terminal. Now, the San Ysidro trolley station is the biggest trolley station in our MTS system. 13,325 people board the trolley in the San Ysidro trolley every day. And to put it into perspective, the second biggest station or busiest station is 12th and Imperial, with 6,725 people boarding every weekday, and which is about half of the San Ysidro passengers. San Ysidro will continue to see exponential growth, And we as policymakers need to make sure that the infrastructure meets the demand. Now, SANDAG reported that the annual delay at the Baja California border results in 166,840 in metric tons of CO2. And better modes of transportation will help get people out of their cars and help us reduce these emissions, which will in turn help our environment. Now, SANDAG, the City of San Diego, MTS, Caltrans, and other agencies and community members must work together to make the San Ysidro Mobility Hub an iconic development and welcoming gate to California. And it's also essential that the people on this Zoom continue to advocate for the San Ysidro Intermodal Transportation Center, as this will be a game changer for cross-border transportation. Now, as a resident of San Ysidro who crosses the border regularly, I'm very eager to see real solutions identified and implemented. Thank you again to SANDAG for working collaboratively with MTS and for staying in communication with my community. I very much value that. And with that, I am going to introduce Mr. Zach Hernandez, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, or Councilmember Moreno, Chair Dedina, all the members of the Borders Committee, and those in attendance today. Again, my name is Zach Hernandez, and I'm a planner here at SANDAG. I'm really excited today to be presenting an introduction to the San Ysidro Mobility Hub planning effort that we've been behind the scenes preparing for, and especially for this particular committee, as it has everything to do with advancing transformative projects, creating better connections for our border. Next slide, please. So as this group knows, I also just want to start out to kind of set the stage, but I want to read a short excerpt directly from our 2021 regional plan that we feel captures how SANDAG understands our binational identity. And this is from chapter 1 of the plan that's out. And it reads, the San Diego region's history would never be complete or its potential fully realized without the invaluable and indispensable influence of our shared border with the United States of Mexico, Estados Unidos Mexicanos, and the close ties between San Diego and Tijuana. And for many people, the US and Mexico border and the cross-border travel is essential for visiting friends and relatives, shopping, medical care, working, vacationing, and going to school. And the historic, familial, cultural, linguistic, culinary, educational, et cetera, all those connections between people on both sides of the border, they've grown stronger by the economic ties that bind us. Next slide, please. And all the ways that the border enriches our daily life in the region is made possible by these partnerships and these relationships that we foster with our neighbors. And critical partnerships for us in San Diego require us to think in terms of the mega region that we find ourselves in. As was mentioned by Diputado Cota, the Cali-Baja mega region, if we understand that as San Diego and Imperial counties on the US side and the state of Baja California on the Mexican side, that's home to more than 7.3 million people, over 3.2 million jobs, and it provides an economic edge that's sought out by industries across the entire world. And it's through that lens, that mega regional lens, that we understand and develop strategies within the regional plan, all of which require us to continue that support across the border, leveraging our cross-border relationships to become even more globally competitive. Next slide, please. So this slide shows how the project fits within the larger kind of planning scope and themes of the 2021 regional plan, which we're excited is going to go to our board for approval on December 10th. But at the broadest level, we have obviously the regional plan and the 5 big moves. This sets the stage and informs the types of transformative projects and initiatives that we anticipate will take our regional system into the future. And it's all built around creating better connections between communities, more efficient travel options, more competitive mode choices, and technology solutions that are going to better manage and orchestrate the regional system. And then from that level, we focus on specific corridors with the ongoing comprehensive multimodal corridor plans, or CMCPs. And as the name suggests, that gives us a more detailed look at how the regional plan and the projects within it can improve travel along the key corridors, again, through the lens of the regional plan of 5 big moves. And as we develop solutions for each corridor, the localized level becomes more clear. And that you can see is kind of where the San Ysidro Mobility Hub effort is embedded in these overarching planning efforts. And it's an example of how we're going to go from regional plan to eventually implementing that plan. Next slide, please. And while all that's underway and those planning efforts are ongoing, we're always addressing the next challenge, definitely. But the region has made substantial investments in border infrastructure, and they've made a real difference. And on the screen, you see just a small sampling of projects that have or will soon improve mobility to and from our border through modernizing the region's various ports of entry, better connecting them to roadways and new multimodal facilities to serve them. And all of this and the hard work that goes into it has gone a long way to making it easier to move back and forth across the border. Next slide, please. So we know previous investments have helped, but we also know that the challenge faced by border crossers is definitely unique, to say the least. And I apologize to those who are triggered or get a visceral reaction from looking at these photos, but they do help tell the story. As part of the recently completed Impacts of Border Delay study, and as Councilmember Moreno alluded to earlier, we estimated that in 2016, delays, just simply delays experienced at the border across California, Baja California, result in 3.4 billion in losses to economic output, more than 88,000 foregone jobs. And that's all to the combined US-Mexico economies. And it also results in over 166,000 metric tons of CO2 emissions. And that's what we see annually, every single year. And to put that into perspective, that's the impact of nearly 23 Comic-Con conventions, job loss the size of 15 Fashion Valley malls, and as much CO2 as 1 year of driving for over 36,000 passenger vehicles. And many times the border simply represents a gateway or a checkpoint on a cross-border trip. So all of this is happening kind of as a backdrop to the project that we're discussing today, the mobility hub at San Ysidro. But just to put some perspective into this. Next slide, please. So the San Ysidro Port of Entry has for decades been a true workhorse and transportation hub. The adjacent transit center, again, has over the decades evolved along with the increased usage and traffic, driven largely by population growth in northern Baja, as well as Southern California, increasing economic activity and integration of people's livelihoods as we've seen evolve over the years on either side of the border. Next slide, please. So fast forward to today, and it'd be hard to understate how critical this asset is to the 30,000 or so San Ysidro community residents, the region at large, and the tens of thousands, thousands upon thousands in the binational community who cross every single day. Currently, as was expressed earlier, 1 in 5 people who cross into the US via land are doing so at the San Ysidro Port of Entry. And prior to COVID, related travel restrictions that were imposed and luckily recently lifted, there were over 14,000 boardings either on a trolley or a bus happening here daily. Next slide, please. So we know there are huge opportunities here and we are ready to start moving on them. And with this project in particular, we're looking to build on many things. For one, the extensive planning work that has been done over the years and the community has been heavily involved in, the expressed desire of the community and the region to see changes made for improving the physical space, safety, and efficiency there. And also the recent investments that have transformed the border crossing of San Ysidro just recently when it was modernized. So we'll be developing a strategy to reconfigure and upgrade the transit center in the near term to improve operations, address the mobility and safety issues. But we're gonna also use that and springboard off of that to help us come up with a plan for the future. And by that, I mean the ultimate design of the San Ysidro Mobility Hub. So we're going to be doing that with lots of engagement with stakeholders, industry, and community to help us develop those ideas. Next slide, please. So just to highlight a couple of the key tasks within this project, one important early action, as I mentioned just a slide ago, is identifying the near-term improvements, which might include preferred trolley alignment, and additional pedestrian safety and mobility enhancements for the near-term improvement of the site, or the San Ysidro Transit Center, if you will. And to help expedite those and those near-term goals, we're going to carry out some preliminary engineering activities to springboard off of that, so we don't have to wait until the conclusion of this study to start addressing those near-term needs. So we're also planning to involve the industry and the community at large in the process through releasing a public request for information, an RFI. And that's going to help us gather a pool of ideas for the future San Ysidro Mobility Hub. And then we're going to take that, hopefully that awesome pool of ideas and design concepts and pick and choose the best elements from each to put together some different alternatives for what we aspire for the future San Ysidro Mobility Hub. And we're also going to develop implementation strategies, phasing strategies to help guide us there. Next slide, please. So as you've heard Hassan and Colleen and others talk about throughout the development of the 2021 regional plan, the vision includes several mobility hubs and the plan includes several mobility hubs throughout the region that essentially offer a high convergence of transit service types, a mix of land uses, connecting services like rideshare, shuttles, micromobility, et cetera, and supporting amenities to enhance the travel experience throughout the surrounding neighborhood. And we know the best solutions and design concepts are the kind that reflect sensitivity to the community and the community context, but they're also flexible enough to innovate and be imaginative. So we're tasking ourselves with this project to ensure that the mobility hub design concepts that we explore are both innovative as well as inclusive. Next slide, please. In terms of the timeline, we anticipate being able to get a consultant on board and really begin the project in full swing in about the January timeframe. As you can see at the top row of information there. Up to now, we've secured kind of the requisite board actions from both SANDAG, and just yesterday at MTS, they approved our funding agreement to get started with the project. But from here, we're going to finalize the request for proposals package, hopefully release that in the next month to solicit consultant support. And all in all, like I mentioned earlier, we expect this to be about an 18-month process. And you can see the general layout of the tasks that we have scoped out for this. This is just a very generalized description of them. But I do want to point out for folks listening today and are interested in getting involved in this project, being part of the process, after we get the consultants on board, we're going to work with them to strategize and develop a stakeholder outreach and public outreach plan. And once we have that, the outreach process can begin truly in earnest, and we can anticipate all the activities stemming from that. And we anticipate it being obviously a very robust and inclusive approach to outreach, given the unique nature of this project, the context, and the wide array of stakeholders that this project touches. So please look forward to more on that as we work to set up the public presence for this project and the outreach platforms involved with it, but more on that in future updates to this committee. Next slide, please. So with that, I'll conclude. And if anybody has questions, I encourage you to reach out to me directly. My contact information is on the screen here. So again, thank you for the time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Zach. It's such an important project, and we look forward to having it be carried out. It's been interesting to see the evolution of all the improvements to that site, and obviously a lot more needs to be done and a lot more quickly. So it's great to see all this great planning effort go on. Are there any comments or questions from the public?
There is a hand raised, Chair Dedina, from Jason Wells.
Great, Jason, take it away.
Okay, sorry, I was looking for a camera. Can you hear me?
Yep, absolutely.
Great. Thank you. Well, I'm delighted to address you from once again a functioning community. Especially want to thank Chair Dedina, Councilwoman Moreno for joining Supervisor Vargas and Mayor Gloria, Mayors Sotelo Solis and Salas in advocating for the reopening of our border. We're especially pleased to see the progress being made on the San Ysidro Mobility Hub. As you all know, San Ysidro was especially hard hit, these last 22 months, above and beyond any other community in your purview. While the Chamber's taken the reins on our financial recovery, the San Ysidro Mobility Hub is a key piece of our rebuilding. You know, as we discuss this, there's a few key points I'd like us to keep on our minds. San Ysidro is the biggest, as Councilwoman Moreno stated, San Ysidro is the busiest point on the trolley system. With new programs such as the free rides for our youth, this use will only grow. 2, it still takes me 18 minutes to drive my POV from my office near the border to SANDAG offices, while the same trip takes an hour and 10 minutes via the trolley. The trolley blue line interrupts traffic on already crowded San Ysidro streets no less than 5 times between Iris Trolley Station and the border, all at grade. Above grade trolley track construction seems to be a constant for years now in La Jolla. Now that our borders have reopened, pedestrian safety is critical at and around the San Ysidro Trolley Station as pedestrians dodge POVs, city buses, long distance buses, trolleys, delivery trucks, bicycles, taxis, Ubers, ambulances, fire trucks. As a matter of fact, Zach, I thank you for a great presentation. I would add, whether it's a key task or highlight, but quality and safety of pedestrian experience at San Ysidro needs to be in the forefront of our. I say all this because we have the opportunity to create America's finest front door. If social equity is truly part of SANDAG's actions as well as mantra, I'm sure we'll find a way for complete construction in the next 5 years instead of 50. Thank you.
Great comments. Thank you, Jason. Again, thank you all for your leadership on helping get the border back open fully, or at least kind of pandemic related fully. Are there any additional public comments?
Yes, we have another member, Rudy Ramirez. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to comment on this. When I served on the Chula Vista City Council, of course, participated on the Borders Committee, and I've seen iterations of this plan come forward in the past. And I got to tell you, I appreciate that you're dealing with it now. I appreciate that you're having the conversation and you're looking forward on this. But in my experience, the plans that have always been brought forward have always been underwhelming, really just shot way lower than we should expect for a transit hub that this needs to be and can be. And so my question is, what is it that you can do? I'm not sure that the plan that you have bringing these consultants can think big enough. I'm not sure that they can really capture blue sky and just start from scratch. As somebody who was very involved in the process in Chula Vista's Bayfront development plan, where that was, for years had been, little hotels here and there, and now some, massive project, that came about through a really robust process. And so I'm just a little concerned that going about it in the traditional way might not get us to really think big about the great potential this transit station could be. And so I honestly, without getting into too many details, I can't give you anything specific that you might do. I would want to recommend to think big and to bring on the people you need that'll help you get to that really large scale visioning that I think you need to start with. So thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Rudy. Appreciate your insight and comments. Additional public comments?
There are no hands raised, Chair Dedina.
Great, and now we have comments from our members. Comments, questions?
There are no hands from members also.
Well, great, and I do want to thank Zach and Jason kind of nailed it when we talked about all the different kind of uses and how they can impact pedestrians. If somebody's crossed the border on my bicycle, holding surfboards, luggage, buses, taxis, you name it, trolleys, personal car, obviously, since 1971, and use that mobility hub since there's been a trolley there. I am cognizant of how complicated it is and how many moving parts are. There's nothing else like it in all of California, if not the United States. So it's a very complicated, dynamic, interesting, fascinating place with a million moving parts. So it will be challenging. And I know that there'll be a lot of creative, innovative solutions in theory to come up with in the planning process. So thanks, Zach. And we definitely look forward to improving that area and the quality of life, air quality, the economy, you name it. And obviously we have a lot of very passionate and committed stakeholders to be engaged in the process. Any last comments, Zach?
No, thank you.
Great, and I'm going to thank Vice Chair Moreno for her great comments, and obviously she's been a huge advocate for helping improve this area. So anyway, and we definitely don't have any lack of passionate and committed local stakeholders in that area. So anyway, and rightly so, right? So anyway, with that, we'll turn over to item number 6, State Route 11, Otay Mesa East, the Mesa de Otay 2 Port of Entry project update, another project where we're going to improve the economy, quality of life, and the environment. And we'll have Mario Orso, Caltrans, and Maria Rodriguez Molina from Sandag give an update. Thank you very much. Take it away.
Thank you, Chair. Today, we're going to give you basically a virtual tour on the project as it's going. As some of you have not been able to go there, in a very brief update on the project. Why don't we start to the next slide? So basically, we're going to show you what the current project is doing. This is the corridor, and it's we're going to take you first to location 1, where we're doing new connections with State Route 125, 905, and State Route 11. Then we'll show you something that we had already showed you, a diverging diamond interchange that was, if it didn't get built, it would have become the bottleneck at the border for commerce. And then we'll be taking you to State Route 11, the final lake, middle, some uniqueness that some people don't know that we have to deal with, some challenges sometimes, and then the port of entry. But, you know, first I'm going to start with some announcements, because what I'm showing you on the tour are big, big things. But this project is also doing little things. This project just recently finished improving some bus stops at 905 and Caliente. And those bus stops have bus shelters for the high school students in that area. And it's a very transit use route. And that stop is Route 905, and it serves the Iris Avenue station of the trolley and the Otay Mesa Transit Center. And Council Member Moreno and Assembly Member Gonzalez were instrumental on highlighting that need. So this project came in and did those little things, as well as the border wait time systems that Maria is going to be discussing in a second. So let's take you to the first location that we are right now constructing. Can we go to the next slide? Our current investment, as we discussed before, is $565 million of this project. And that first location is the southbound State Route 905 connectors to 905 State Route 11. You can see them here. They're getting they're getting constructed, and they're going to allow a direct access to the San Ysidro port of entry, to the cross-border express, to the Otay border crossing, existing one, and to East Otay Mesa border crossing, and full connectivity on the highway system to the Otay Mesa area. So from East County, East Chula Vista. Let's keep going. So here's those connectors. We're going to be opening these connectors in the mid of December. So we'll let you know exactly the date, but this is a big deal. Providing that direct connectivity through the highway system is very exciting. It's going to be the southbound 125 to southbound 905, taking you directly to the Otay Mesa port of entry, and then southbound 125 to eastbound 11, taking you to East Otay, to the Amazon Center and other locations there. Let's keep going. Also under construction, and we should be finalizing this at that same location by the fall of 2022, is the southbound 125 to westbound 905. And this connector is gonna be the final connector of finishing all the connections of that 3 highway interchange. And you could see the development that's being done all over the place. This is a development of some major warehouses, but they're popping up all over the place. So things are moving in Otay Mesa, and a lot of it is due to the developments that are being done by this project, as well as other transit developments and prior highway improvements that were done in the past. So now let's keep moving to the east here. So as we keep moving, you'll see now on the map below, we have driven from those connectors to the east on the existing portion of State Route 11, and now we're at Enrico Fermi. Enrico Fermi is an interchange that connects State Route 11 with Enrico Fermi, the access road for the existing truck exit for the Otay Mesa port of entry. And it's also going to provide connections to State Route 11 Otay Mesa East port of entry. So we did this new interchange that we had mentioned before, a diverging diamond, that we move traffic from one side to the other. This is the finished product. It's functioning great. It's giving us more than 50% efficiency, and it's allowing the border traffic, the freight border traffic, to move accordingly and not become the bottleneck at the border dislocation. Let's keep going. And this is a small video just showing you how it functions. The last portion that we did was the striping for the bike lanes. And we've been keeping a close eye now that some major work areas like the Amazon centers and other distribution